Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Troman, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Troman. Morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Morning.
On agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider.
That's correct. We have no cases to consider under agenda item 3.
Just consider tax liability cases under agenda item 4. We have no tax cases though on dockets 27 or 28.
That's correct. There are no tax liability cases.
No fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
Sorry.
And we have no fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
No, sir, we do not have any cases under agenda 5.
Under agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases on either dockets 27 or 28 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. However, there are additional cases that need to be voted. You should have received the short form dissent list for the wage claim cases for both docket 27 and 28.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on dockets 27 and 28.
Second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting is reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 27 and 28.
I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 27 and 28.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 7 in consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 27. Please proceed when you're ready.
We're ready.
Case number 3276887, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The claimant was driving 87 miles one way in order to care for her last client. After the client reduced the claimant's hours to 4 hours a day for 4 days a week, meaning that she was only getting 16 hours per week total, the claimant could no longer afford to drive nearly 175 miles a day for part-time work. The claimant requested additional clients from the employer to increase her hours, but these assignments did not work out, and the employer then assigned someone else to her original client. The reduction in hours combined with the extreme distance to work provided the claimant with a good cause connected with the work to leave the job. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment. In the alternative, this case should be reheard to obtain additional testimony about the claimant's reduction in hours.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. Although the claimant was offered a new work assignment, she refused to accept the assignment based on the commuting distance to the client's residence. The employer attempted to accommodate the claimant through offering further work, but the claimant refused the additional offers. Since the claimant made commutes of similar distances in the months leading to her separation, the claimant's failure to accept further work of similar commuting distance was a voluntary quit without work connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Read here.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3314961, Commissioner Demerson.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, the employer's credible testimony in conjunction with the documentary confirmation of a timely response establishes that the employer's protest was timely. In addition, TWC records show that the employer's appeal to the claim determination was timely. I also agree that the claim was valid. Concerning the job separation, the claimant was terminated for the misuse of company time. Although the claimant alleged the need to reboot his computer as the basis for his inactivity, the employer had access to the claimant's workspace and identified that the claimant did not attempt to reboot his computer. Instead, the claimant's inactivity arose from him being away from his workstation for large periods of time. Since the claimant mismanaged his position of employment through the misuse of company time, the claimant's conduct was misconduct connected with the work. As such, we should modify the AT decision. Timely employer protest, timely employer appeal, valid claim, misconduct, no chargeback, and sever adequate employer response.
The AT decision should be modified. I agree that the employer filed a timely appeal. Regarding the timeliness of protest issue, the employer submitted documents using the employer's online submission portal, which is not an approved method for submitting a protest. The TWC website states that the portal is not to be used to submit an appeal. There is no evidence of a timely protest. Modify the AT, timely appeal, late protest, valid claim, no misconduct, void chargeback, and adequate response ruling. In the alternative, we should rehear this case to further develop the record on when and how the employer submitted this protest. However, if my fellow commissioners find that the employer's protest is timely, the claimant filed a valid claim regarding the separation. The claimant was experiencing technological issues with his computer. After speaking with IT, he was informed that he could reboot his computer or modem to resolve these issues and glitches in the future. When the claimant needed to reboot, he would notify his supervisor. However, the employer system identified the few minutes that it took to reboot as him being idle in the system. The claimant was not idle or stealing time from the employer, and he was unaware that rebooting his system could lead to his discharge. The employer's secondhand hearsay testimony and the evidence are insufficient to overcome the claimant's sworn testimony, and the employer failed to establish misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, timely appeal, timely protest, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Modify the AT, timely protest, timely employer appeal, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3351019, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The employer provided solely hearsay testimony in support of their allegation that the claimant reported hours on his time card that he had not worked. The claimant denied the allegations of misconduct and further explained that he reported hours on his time card as he was instructed by his immediate supervisor. The claimant's testimony was supported by firsthand testimony of a coworker. The evidence does not establish that the claimant engaged in action that could be considered misconduct. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. The claimant was discharged for violating the employer's time card procedures. The employer stated that the claimant had admitted to his manager that he put work orders on his time card that he had not worked. The employer went on to state that this resulted in the claimant being paid for time that was actually worked, time that was not actually worked. As such, the claimant's actions in light of his prior disciplinary history constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3390586, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. The claimant was terminated for failing to meet the employer's sales quota, which required that 9% of all phone calls must result in sales. The claimant's inability to meet the sales quota could be affected by many factors outside of the claimant's control. Additionally, though the claimant had been able to meet the sales goal in the beginning of her employment, the claimant's call type was changed approximately 4 months into her employment. And there was no evidence that the claimant consistently met the sales goal after her call type was changed. Therefore, the claimant's failure to meet the sales quota does not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
The appeal tribunal decision should be affirmed. The claimant was discharged for poor job performance. Claimant had demonstrated the ability to meet the employer's expectations in the past. However, at a certain point, her performance declined. As such, the claimant's poor job performance constituted work-connected misconduct. Should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct.
Affirm the AT, misconduct.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3414554, Commissioner Demerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant was discharged for violating the employer's credit card policy. The claimant admitted that he used the company card for family expenses because he believed that he was not properly compensated by the employer. A reasonable employee would have known that unauthorized use of the company credit card for household and personal expenses would not be acceptable. Any argument to the contrary is neither credible nor persuasive. Thus, because the claimant mismanaged his position of employment, we should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was never made aware of the employer's credit card policy, and the claimant used the company's credit card for business purposes that he reasonably believed were authorized. The claimant could not therefore be considered to have mismanaged his position or commit misconduct. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Reverse the AT, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3418649, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The claimant worked for the employer for nearly 12 years. The employer discharged the claimant after a customer complained that the claimant yelled at them. However, the employer provided no direct evidence of the claimant's alleged behavior towards the customer, and the employer's only witness could not even describe this incident. The claimant, on the other hand, denied under oath that she was rude to or yelled at the customer. Therefore, the employer did not establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant had been warned about her behavior with customers and coworkers. Because the claimant continued to engage in inappropriate behavior after warnings, she was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. We should modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate response issue.
Modify the AT, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3419615, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. The claimant was approved to take off work on specific days when she was hired. She was forced to quarantine for an additional 3 days when she contracted COVID. These were the claimant's only absences that were not previously approved, and they were due to a medically verifiable illness. The employer's disapproval of the claimant's decision to attend a concert after business hours after taking off of work to attend a medical appointment does not constitute misconduct. The claimant was discharged due to attendance issues caused by a medically verifiable illness. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, void chargeback.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant was informed at the time of hire that excessive absences during the probationary period could lead to discharge. During her first 3.5 weeks of employment, the claimant was absent 5 times. By not prioritizing her job and being excessively absent for personal reasons, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. Should modify the AT decision, misconduct, void the chargeback ruling.
Modify the AT, misconduct, void chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3437274, Commissioner Demerson.
Should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. Although the claimant states that he quit due to an alleged threat from a coworker, the record shows that the claimant did not allow the employer an opportunity to address his concerns or remedy his needs. Since the claimant abandoned his job prior to allowing the employer an opportunity to rectify his needs, the claimant's separation was a voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should reverse the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant reasonably informed the employer of his concerns about a coworker who was related to the owner, threatening him with a knife. The claimant had good cause to quit rather than place his safety in jeopardy after the owner rehired the coworker to meet business needs. Affirm the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback.
Affirm the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent. That was the last pulled case for docket 27. You should have received the short form dissent list for docket 27.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 27, except for the case on which I'm dissenting as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 27.
And I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 27.
I concur with Chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 27.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
We will start with docket 28.
Case number 3249510, Commissioner Demerson.
The AT decision is not supportable. Due to mail problems associated with the pandemic, the employer received notice of the original chargeback over a year late. but responded promptly once it received notice that its account was subject to charge. That was also around the same time that the employer signed up for electronic correspondence and notice of a new initial claim was received by the employer pertaining to the same claimant, which led to the employer's late appeal. Based on the mail delivery problem and the understandable confusion with the new initial claim notice, the employer's initial protest and its subsequent appeal were both late for reasons covered by the exceptions allowed under Rule 32. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision, hold the employer's appeal timely, hold the original protest to the chargeback notice timely, and resubmit the case on the merits of the chargeback issue.
The decision is correct. The charge liability decision was sent to the employer via electronic correspondence as the employer had requested. The employer received the determination and acknowledged that there were no problems with the EBS system. The employer simply failed to monitor their electronic inbox, causing them to file a late appeal. The employer was not established and has not established an exception to the timeliness rule in this case. Affirm the AT, employer appeal not timely, late response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback, charge the employer's account.
I concur with Commissioner Demerson.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3249517, Commissioner Dimerson.
And the AT decision is not supportable. Just as with the companion case, due to mail problems associated with the pandemic, the employer received notice of the original chargeback over a year late, but responded again promptly once it received notice that its account was subject to charge. That was also, again, around the same time that the employer signed up for the electronic correspondence, which led to the employer's late appeal. Based on the mail delivery problems, the employer's initial protest and its subsequent appeal were both late for reasons covered by the exceptions allowed under Rule 32. There's also a potential LEU, last employing unit, issue in this case. The issue of a correct LEU can be raised at any time, since it could also involve a related issue of whether the claimant was actually unemployed on the claim filing date. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision, hold the employer's appeal timely, hold the original protest to the chargeback notice timely, resubmit the case on the merits of the chargeback issue, and then send a memo to UIA and OS regarding the issue of whether the claimant named the correct LEU on the initial claim.
The decision is correct. The charge liability decision was sent to the employer via electronic correspondence as the employer had requested. The employer received the determination and acknowledged that there were no problems with the EBS system. The employer simply failed to monitor their electronic inbox, causing them to file a late appeal. The employer has not established an exception to the timeliness rules in this case. Affirm the AT, employer appeal not timely, late response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback, and charge the employer's account.
I concur with Commissioner Demerson.
We will resubmit the case. Can I have your memo, Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you.
Case number 3323732, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision on timeliness. The employer provided credible testimony that it filed a timely response to the notice of claim. However, it was not received by TWC due to technical issues. Furthermore, the employer provided documentation that corroborates the timely filing. Because the employer was not aware that its response was not received by the agency and has provided proof of a timely filing, we should deem the employer's response to the claim as timely and resubmit the case for merits testimony.
The AT decision is supportable. The employer alleged that they submitted a timely protest by fax, but the commission did not receive it. The employer admitted that they did not receive a fax confirmation, and there is no good cause exception to the timeliness rule. The employer presented insufficient evidence, and the employer's protest cannot be deemed timely. Affirm the AT, late protest, the determination approving the claimant for benefits under section 207.044 of the Act remains in full force and effect.
Affirm the AT, untimely employer protest, no misconduct.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3351987, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant's job required her to drive a truck without air conditioning and sweltering temperatures. These conditions made the claimant physically ill, and the claimant made reasonable attempts to resolve this issue prior to quitting. The claimant had good cause to quit rather than continue to work in these intolerable conditions. I agree that the employer in this case is a federal employer, and the tax governmental employer ruling should be voided. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, void tax governmental employer ruling.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. Although the claimant alleged dissatisfaction with her working conditions, the record shows that the employer advised the claimant about her job duties and weather-related concerns upon hire. The record further shows that the claimant failed to consult her physician or seek medical aid prior to her separation. Finally, qualification under section 207.045 G-1 of the Act is improper because the claimant was making above her maximum wage demand. Since the claimant quit when continued work was available, the claimant's separation was voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the appeal tribunal decision, voluntary leaving, void the TG ruling.
Modify the AT, voluntary leaving, void tax governmental account ruling.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3379224, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was not able to obtain the required FAA medical certification because he was diagnosed with the medical condition after started working for the employer. Because the claimant's failure to obtain the certification was a result of his medical condition rather than any fault of his own, the claimant's discharge was not for misconduct. Modify the AT, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. Although the claimant was aware of the employer's medical certification requirements, he failed to maintain compliance when he failed to pass the required physical exam. Since the claimant was aware of his obligation to receive and maintain the medical certification at the time of hire, the claimant's failure to comply with the certification requirements was mismanagement of his position of employment. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Affirm the AT, misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3386267, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant lives in the Mountain Time Zone. The appeal deadline in this case was September 8th, 2022. The claimant submitted her appeal online on September 8th, 2022 at 11:20 p.m. from the time zone in which she resides. However, this appeal was dismissed as late because it was 20 minutes after the deadline in Central Time Zone. Since there is nothing in the determination that explained or stated that an appeal or that the appeal deadline was tied to a specific time zone, and since the claimant submitted a timely appeal in the time zone in which she resides, the appeal should be considered timely and the case resubmitted for merits testimony. Reverse the AT, timely claim appeal, resubmit.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. Commission Rule 32E5 specifies that an electronic appeal is perfected at the time that the appeal is received by the agency. The claimant's appeal was received beyond the applicable deadline to do so. Since the claimant's appeal was late and because there are no good cause exceptions to the timeliness rules, we should affirm the AT decision, untimely claimant appeal, misconduct.
Affirm the AT, untimely claimant appeal, misconduct.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3397800, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant separated from work because of the effect that her work had on her health. The claimant has provided medical documents, including a doctor's note, taking her from work the week prior to the separation. The claimant's documents and the testimony established that the stress of working conditions negatively affected her health. Since the claimant's separation was due to a medically verifiable illness, the claimant is eligible for benefits and the employer's account should be protected from charge. Modify the AT, no voluntary leaving, no chargeback, MBI.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. If the claimant had concerns with her working conditions, she could have used the employer's established process for submitting a complaint, yet she failed to do so. Furthermore, regarding her health situation, the claimant has provided neither testimony nor documentation that she was advised by a doctor to quit. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Affirm the AT, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3421308, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. Whether viewed as a quit or a discharge, the claimant should be disqualified from receiving benefits. When viewed as a discharge, the claimant without authorization allowed her shift to be covered by a coworker. When questioned by the employer, the claimant became belligerent and refused to perform further work. As such, the claimant's conduct rose to misconduct. When viewed as a quit, the claimant was contacted by the employer to obtain information about her unauthorized day off. When the employer confronted the claimant, she quit. Since the claimant quit when continued work was available, her separation was a voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should reverse the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, adequate employer response, and then change the employer account number.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant had requested a day off and her request had been approved. However, the owner continued to call the claimant on her day off regarding business matters. The claimant was under no obligation to answer work calls on her day off, and therefore the claimant's failure to answer calls does not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, correct the employer's account number.
Reverse the AT, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, adequate employer response, change employer account number.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3430087, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The claimant left work early because she had a headache. She received permission to leave work from her immediate supervisor and went to the doctor's office. Shortly thereafter, the assistant director of nursing called the claimant and told her she would be fired if she didn't return to work. The claimant explained that she had received permission to leave and was at the doctor. The claimant later attempted to return to work, but was told that she had been fired for insubordination. Since the claimant obtained permission from her immediate supervisor to leave work due to personal illness, the claimant's actions were not insubordinate and did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. We should reverse the AT, no misconduct.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant was discharged for failing to follow instructions. Thus, because the claimant did not return to work as instructed, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree, since the final incident resulted from an absence due to personal illness, the claimant should be qualified for benefits under medical separation analysis. I reverse the AT decision, no misconduct, MBI.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
What was Commissioner Trevino's vote?
The final vote is reverse, no misconduct.
All right, short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
Case number 3439494, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant missed work due to illness and provided notice of his illness to the employer. When he contacted the employer to begin the return to work process, the employer did not return many of his calls or provide him with instructions to initiate the return to work. Since the employer failed to initiate the claimant's return to work following his absences, the claimant had not been provided with any warning regarding his attendance. The employer discharged the claimant for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback. Alternatively, since the claimant was discharged for absences that were caused by the claimant's illness, we could agree that the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct due to a medically verifiable illness, and that the employer's account should be protected from chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant failed to follow the employer's instructions for calling in to initiate the return to work process. Thus, he mismanaged his position of employment, and we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree, since the final incident resulted from absence due to personal illness, the claimant should be qualified for benefits under a medical separation analysis. I modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, MBI.
Affirm the AT, misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Thank you.
And that is the last pulled case for docket 28. You should have received the short form dissent list for docket 28.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 28.
Now, I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 28.
I concur with Chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 28.
The motion passes with the exceptions noted. All right, this brings us to the end of agenda items 3 through 7. We'll take a short recess. All right, we're back. We're going to start actually with agenda item 13. The time is now 10:38. The Texas Workforce Commission is now going into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of the executive director, internal hire, executive staff, and other personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074A1.
We do.
All right, the executive session is now concluded. The time is 10:54.
All right.
Let's move back and pick up agenda item 8, board contract year 2024 Texas Rising Star Mentor Distribution.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Reagan Miller with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. Today, we're bringing forward recommendations on how to distribute the $25 million, the $27 million that you previously approved within the statewide initiatives budget to support Texas Rising Star Mentors in board contract year 2024. As we outlined in the paper, with the implementation of the legislative change to mandate that all CCS providers participate in the Texas Rising Star program, there will be many more child care programs in need of mentoring and coaching assistance. The increase in funding will allow boards to hire additional Texas Rising Star mentors to provide this support. The funding distribution methodology is the same as last year and is described in detail in the discussion paper. And on page 3, you'll see the amounts that each board will receive based on this recommended distribution. That concludes my overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments or questions?
This is kind of an aside, Reagan. Congratulations to you and your team on an amazing child care conference that was recently held. This particular item, mentoring, coaching, all those things. I had an opportunity to visit with the various vendors and got kind of churched up on all these areas. And so that additional funding that this commission is allocated and appropriated, your teams put it to good use, and those vendors are the ones that are performing that work were engaged. I enjoyed the conversations, but congratulations on that conference. No other comments, Chair.
No, I just wanted to also concur with Commissioner Demerson on a wonderful conference. Seemed like everything ran so smoothly and everybody was excited to be there. So congratulations.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the board contract year 2024 Texas Rising Star Mentor Distribution as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second the motion.
To be moved in second, we're unanimous.
Thank you.
So agenda item 9, board nominations.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Cherie Dudley with Workforce Development. Today, for your consideration, we have workforce nominations for Brazos Valley, Capital Area, Golden Crescent, Coastal Bend, Panhandle, Permian Basin, and Texoma. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominees, and I'm here to answer questions you may have.
Any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
No questions. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the local workforce development board member nominees presented today for the following workforce solution offices: Workforce Solutions, Brazos Valley, Capital Area, Golden Crescent, Coastal Bend, Panhandle, Permian Basin, and Texoma.
I second the motion.
It's been moved in second, and we're unanimous. Thank you. I do not see a legislative report today. Is there an executive director's report today?
Yes, sir, there is. Two things, actually. The first is a matter of personal privilege to just let everybody know that today is Commissioner Demerson's birthday and wish the commissioner a happy birthday.
Yeah.
So the second is
And he didn't give you time for a rebuttal. Did you know? Like he's like, happy birthday. Okay, and the next thing on my list is.
Because Ed knows.
well, he said thank you, and I heard that. And that was kind of it. So
And you were done.
well, I was afraid that there'd be a request for singing or something like that. The second item is recognizing staff. Our fraud and FIDCOM, Fraud Detection and Compliance Monitoring Division, nominated one of the teams, the AD&M team in IT for outstanding work. And we're going to recognize those employees with a star award, and Chuck's going to describe that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, my name is Chuck Ross. I'm the Director of TWC's Division of Fraud Deterrence and Compliance Monitoring. I'll start out by saying it's probably never a good thing when the fraud guy shows up, but I'm here for actually a very pleasant reason, and I'm not wearing my traditional Undertaker garb to kind of put that kind of forward that vibe. I'm here to speak to you all about a group award, Star Award for the IT department's Applications Development and Maintenance Division. It's no surprise to anybody in the agency or to anybody in Texas is during the pandemic, the unemployment insurance program became a huge target for ID theft. At all told, we had close to 900,000 potential ID theft claims that really were filed by criminal enterprises. And integrity and fraud detection is really a team sport at the agency. And while my division and the UI division and other divisions work diligently to investigate these ID theft claims, the IT division in particular, AD&M, really showed up and helped out with victims of ID theft, primarily in the area of those individuals whose identifications were stolen, but then they subsequently needed to file a claim for unemployment benefits. That process involved kind of unwinding the social security number of the victim, moving the fraud ID information to a pseudo claim, and then allowing the victim of the ID theft to file a legitimate claim for benefits because they were unemployed and needed the money. And so prior to November of 2020, that process involved looking at dozens and dozens of tables in the benefit system and just sort of untangling the fraud claim. It took IT staff 4 to 6 hours per individual claim to do that work. And I really want to recommend Charla Roberts because she took the current process and on her own initiative and her extremely intelligent approach, she automated that system so that the 4 to 6 hours it was taking took 15 minutes for us to unwind and attach ID theft claims to pseudo SSNs. And so after that process, we were able to help over 3,400 victims of ID theft be able to file legitimate claims for unemployment insurance. And so that's really kind of the vanguard of the work that the AD&M shop did, but they were instrumental to our efforts. And I'd like to, and it's my privilege and my honor, because I work with them on a regular basis, to commend them to you as award winners of the Star Award. First, Charla Roberts. She coded the ID theft moves application for complicated pseudo moves for the CARES and the ARPA payments. Now, I'm tearing up a little bit about Charla's nomination because unfortunately, she is no longer with TWC, and that makes me very sad. And a lot of people are very sad about it. Next, I'd like to recognize Ryan Everett. Ryan coded an automated script to use the existing screens to perform basic pseudo moves. Again, it really helped victims of ID theft. Brandy Cordell and Ryan Everett documented and tested all the ID theft requirements and results. Beatriz Silva trained 15 staff to do the ID moves that were necessary to help these victims. Michael Weaver documented and tested all CARES, ARPA, and related overpayments. And kind of a special shout out to Michael Weaver. He writes the best technical documents I've ever read. I can barely charge my iPhone, but I understand exactly what he tells me. So kudos to Michael. Rolando Tovar, he coded and is currently coding all FPUC overpayments. And finally, David Leandro, Joseph Henry, Retha Madison, Denise Williams, and Rebecca Roberts completed manual entry of theft moves. That's only what I've laid out here is only a small amount of the contributions that the AD&M shop have made to fraud, waste, and abuse prevention at TWC. And it was my honor to submit them for awards. And that's what I have for you today.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, a couple of comments here. Chuck, thanks for the presentation and the nominating. Chuck mentioned the wardrobe. We need to see pics of that wardrobe that you have. Send that out. But in all seriousness, I want to congratulate the IT team, and I'm going to mention some folks here: Charla, Ryan, Brandy, Beatrice, Michael, Rolando, David, Joseph, Retha, Denise, and Rebecca, for all their hard work. Tommy Simmons on my team kind of pointed out the fact that this is the second time that the AD&M team has been recognized for an outstanding contribution towards detection and prevention of UI claim fraud. Said back in 2018, they were recognized as well for the work that they were doing there. And so we have a strong appreciation for the work that's been done and appreciate the relationship that we have with you guys. And so thank you guys for all you're doing, and congratulations to that team for achieving this recognition.
I too just want to say congratulations to the ADM team for their hard work and exceptional service for the fraud related issues and identifying the identity theft and overpayments. You know, their hard work and dedication is truly appreciated. And sorry we lost Charlotte too.
I'd say two things. First thing is, you know, people don't really, and sometimes for good reason, don't have a real concept of all the moving parts that go into protecting the taxpayers' dollars and all the things that happen at the agency. We probably don't share those for a reason, because we don't want the bad guys to know what we're doing, but I definitely want to know the people that are making it happen. I'm glad you did this. I'm glad you brought this forward today. And then the second thing that I want to mention is we need to remember that's Chuck's good news shirt. So we'll pay attention when he's wearing that shirt in the staff briefings and stuff, so we have an idea of what's about to happen.
It's awesome. So,
He told us that at the
so we're
beginning.
picking up good.
So we're getting some good stuff here. Congratulations to all the over. Chuck, thanks for bringing this.
Thank you.
forward. Yeah.
That's all that I had to report. Commissioner?
And before you get, let's give them a round of applause and ask them all to stand. Okay? Thank you. All right.
All right. Is there any other order of business coming before the commission?
Not, I don't think. We have next week, so, okay.
None here.
Well, none here either.
You sure?
Award winners hang around. I want to shake your hand, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. We're adjourned. Thank you.